Hi, this is David Lovett, author of Active Project Management. In this video, I'll talk about managing projects during the in-flight phase, how to ensure that the right scope is delivered on time and on budget. Project managers succeed by following a systematic approach, not a random one. They have a set of activities and behaviors that keep the project on track. Think of a pilot. Between takeoff and landing, they must keep the plane on course, adjusting direction and altitude, while checking for any hazards through the windows and on the control panel. A project manager's role is similar, but instead of guiding an aircraft, they guide a team. Like pilots, project managers must avoid mistakes and handle changing circumstances when they arise. Active project management provides a straightforward recipe for the execution phase. There are three key parts: tasks, resources, and reports. These three categories encompass everything a project manager needs to focus on. Tasks. These are the actions required to achieve the project's goals. Resources. Who and what is necessary to complete the tasks. Reports. Project managers must communicate effectively, ensuring team members know their tasks and stakeholders are properly informed about progress. As a project manager, it really helps to plan daily, weekly, and monthly routines that focus on resources, tasks, and reports. Here are some examples of what that might look like. The daily routine. Tasks. Each day, review the project action list, ensure that all tasks are recorded and that the right people are assigned to them. Address any problems with getting tasks completed promptly. Resources. Every day, check in with team members, ask about their progress, plans for the day, and any challenges they're facing. While you do this, collect and share positive project news to boost morale and motivation. Reports. Every day, consider whether additional communications or meetings are needed to empower the team and resolve issues. That was the daily routine. Let's move on to the weekly routine. Resources. Every week, think about how the team is getting on, identify areas for improvement, and recognize team members for their contributions. Include people from the client and third party, as well as from the vendor. Tasks. Every week, plan tasks for the upcoming days, weeks, and months. Make sure that who is doing what is crystal clear to everyone. Every week, check on the project triangle. Is the team delivering the agreed scope in line with the intended schedule and budget? If not, what can be done to remedy this? Don't overlook small delays. Address them promptly, like a pilot constantly adjusting course. Don't wait until you're 100 miles off course. Each week, check that the project team follows the right procedures for time tracking, issue reporting, and action logging. Keep a close eye on project scope and keep the action list up to date. Reports. Compile a weekly report to update the project team and stakeholders on project status. Cover time spent, completed work, progress against the plan, upcoming tasks, and future time allocations. Every week, think about the challenges faced by the project and consider what remedies or risk mitigations might be appropriate. Those were a few suggestions for a weekly routine. How about the monthly routine? Resources. Each month, review the resourcing situation, but now consider the long term, months ahead rather than merely days. How well is the team working? How could it be improved? Is it time to organise a social event for the team? People often work better if they're having fun together and are socially connected. Tasks. Each month, review tasks again, but now take some extra time and have a more fundamental review. Do your tasks and actions reflect both the agreed project triangle and the reality on the ground? Are changes to scope being managed properly with the change management process? If there are problems, consider getting help from the project steering committee. Reports. Each month, prepare a report for the steering committee. This is like your weekly reports, but with a broader perspective and a longer-term outlook. Seek input from other stakeholders. Use a RAG indicator, red, amber, green, to communicate the status of scope, schedule, and budget. Prepare for steering committee meetings by setting clear priorities for their attention. If there are critical change requests requiring approval, it may be best to prioritise those. Make sure that actions identified in steering meetings are logged and followed up on. These suggestions for a monthly routine complement the daily and weekly routines. Pay attention to all three cadences and all three topics: daily, weekly, and monthly, resources, tasks, and reports. Project management is like a chain. It's only as good as the weakest link. Even if a project manager excels in 8 out of 9 areas, that one area where time ran short is unfortunately the one that will determine overall success. For this reason, it's strongly recommended that you use checklists, just as pilots do, to make sure that nothing is missed. The Active Project Management book contains an extensive collection of checklists for every step of your project journey. Get the book and use the checklists. This wraps up the key aspects of piloting your project to success. But before concluding, here's some more detail on some of the terms used earlier. Cadence. A cadence is a regular and repeated pattern of activity. Make sure your project management approach is characterized by a number of cadences. Execution phase. This video focused on the execution phase of projects. This is the main part of the project that comes after scoping. The project triangle is key. Scope refers to all the deliverables and the work produced by the project. Schedule is the time plan. And budget is the amount of money allowed for the project. The three are linked in a triangle because if you change one, you will probably have to change at least one of the others. For example, if the client wants to increase the project scope, then the budget and the schedule may also need to be adjusted. Change management and change requests. When the project triangle does need to change for whatever reason, following the proper process is essential. Not everyone will prioritize formal change management. Some vendors are too eager to please the client. Some clients are too keen to get more for their money than what was agreed. But the project manager must be firm. Without a rigorous approach to change management, you risk very difficult situations where the wrong scope is delivered or the budget is gone or perhaps the schedule is hopelessly delayed. The key document used to specify a change to the project triangle is called a change request or CR. You may wish to pause this video here and study an example change management process. Action list. A complex project may generate hundreds of tasks for dozens of people. Keep track of them using an action list. Either use a spreadsheet or a ticketing system if one is available. Time and materials versus fixed price. Projects can be paid for in different ways. Time and materials, or T&M, means the vendor will be paid according to an hourly rate or similar. In a fixed price contract, the vendor is paid a fixed amount for completing the project or its milestones, regardless of the work required. Milestones are dates in the project plan when a defined piece of work must be finished. Steering committee. Typically, the project manager must regularly report to a senior group of stakeholders. This is the project steering committee. Issues. If you manage a list of defects or incompletions in the deliverables that you're working on, these are usually known as issues. Risks and mitigation. A key role for the project manager is to be aware of the risks to the project. Mitigation is the work done to minimize the likelihood of risks materializing or reducing their impact if they do. Remediation. The process of improving or correcting a situation is known as remediation. Right from the start, make sure that you allow time in your project for remediation. For example, after a period of testing. Testing, UAT and SIT. In IT projects, the final phase of testing is often known as user acceptance testing, and often is preceded by a phase of system integration testing. Stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people affected by the project or its deliverables. Make sure you know who they are. Make sure they're all represented when you are scoping the project. Reports. Project managers need to be excellent communicators. Some of these communications are formalized into reports. Weekly and monthly reports help ensure that stakeholders and project participants all have the information they need. Typically, reports will focus on things such as tasks completed and tasks remaining, as well as RAG indicators showing the overall status for scope, schedule, and budget. That's it. A quick run-through of some important project management terminology. If you're familiar with these concepts and can put them into practice, you're in a position to be a great project manager. For a more detailed account of how to get the right scope delivered on time, on budget, as well as a complete set of project management checklists, please check out the Active Project Management book. This was David Lovett of theactivepm.com. Thanks for watching.